This year, the Lions are taking on the Texans on Thanksgiving Day. Let's talk Lions. This year, we have been granted the honor and privilege to play another bad team on Thanksgiving Day. So, with that being said, on Thanksgiving, everybody at 12:30 switches on. They see that it's the Lions game for the most part. They're just going to turn the volume down nice and low. But hey, there's football on, or something that we like to claim is football. Because truth of the matter is, after that Carolina game, that was not football. We are a 4-6 team playing a 3-7 team. Our division is floundering, as is obviously the Vikings are 4-6. We're 4-6. The Bears are 5-5. However, we have lost every game in our division thus far. We are 0-3. Playoffs are not in the picture. I just want to see us play a game and us look good. That'd be something. I am a relatively positive person. I usually look at the glass half full. That's the way I view life. That's the way I like to view the Lions. That's just me. We are just a glass half empty, maybe fully empty team, struggling, floundering, and dying before our eyes. Have you ever gone fishing? You know what it's like when you reel in that fish and you get it out of the water and it fights the whole time to stay in the water. But when you get it out of the water and you're looking at it and it's doing that thing back and forth, and you're like, oh my God, I'm killing you. You're dying in the air. That's the Lions right now. Game 1 through game 10, we have been dragging and just trying not to get sucked out of the water and being seen for what we are, which is a dying fish. But hey, let's break this game down and see what it's going to take to beat the Houston Texans. Let's begin by looking at Houston's defense. Last week, Carolina was ranked 22nd pass D in the NFL, but funny enough, Houston is ranked 22nd in the NFL on pass D when it comes to the yards allowed. Houston is allowing 254, roughly, yards a game to their opponent. Now, our offense, is ranked 15th in the NFL, averaging out about 247 yards a game. However, we look at last week and Matt Stafford's performance and what our offense was able to do when we didn't have a rushing presence of Swift or our wide receiver threat of Kenny Golladay or Danny Amendola. We looked terrible. We fell apart. We'll get there. So let's look. Houston's pass D is ranked 22nd. Houston's rush defense is ranked dead last in the NFL, 32 out of 32. They're allowing an average of about 159 yards a game. But really, when you look at it, Detroit, our pass D and our rush D, they're nothing to write home about either. So where Houston's pass D is ranked 22nd in the NFL, we're ranked 25th. And where Houston's rush D is last 32nd, we're sitting in a sweet spot of 30th in the NFL. So really, two very comparable bad teams when it comes to defensive play this year. Also, our offenses are pretty comparable as well. When it comes to the rushing game, Houston is ranked 31st in the NFL, and we are 29th. Houston's rushing average is about 84 yards a game, where for Detroit, it's at about 95, 96 yards a game. Passing-wise, though, Houston is ranked 8th in the NFL. Deshaun Watson is actually playing fairly well this season, even without DeAndre Hopkins. Thank God they don't have him. Probably one of the greatest blunders of the offseason was Houston trading Hopkins to Arizona. Still don't get it. That's probably why Bill O'Brien doesn't have a job anymore. Just saying. And Detroit's passing offense is ranked 15th in the NFL. So what I'm seeing is two very comparable teams. Two teams that are mirroring each other really equally. When it comes to this pass D and Stafford stats, it's going to be a very interesting game. Because when Stafford went up against the number 1 pass D in the league against Washington 2 weeks ago, Stafford had his best game this season. However, this past week against Carolina, Stafford had his worst game this year. It was unbelievable. He had He was 18 for 33 with a 54% completion percentage, and he threw for only 178 yards total. We saw what Stafford was able to do without the running presence of DeAndre Swift. We saw what he was able to do without Danny Amendola in the slot, and we saw what he's able to do without Kenny Galladay out there. Man, it's like somebody took a stone, the Sorcerer's Stone, and they threw it at the mirror of Erised. That's right, Harry Potter reference. And they just shattered all of your greatest hopes, dreams, and desires. Stafford doesn't have the weapons it's going to take to beat a team like Carolina. How is he going to have the weapons that it takes to beat a team like Houston? Then you got somebody like Deshaun Watson, whose rating has been above 100 for 7 out of the 10 games this season. Deshaun Watson has thrown multiple TDs in 7 out of the 10 games this season. Deshaun Watson is a good quarterback, even with nobody really to throw to. Nobody like DeAndre Hopkins, that is. So here you have these two great quarterbacks, these two elite quarterbacks. And what are they going to do? Now, granted, Stafford is injured. He's playing with some torn ligaments in his throwing thumb. That's why I think we really should have played Chase Daniel last week, allowing Stafford to heal up a little bit more. And it feels like Deshaun Watson is going to outperform Stafford because he has been. Even though Houston's record looks pretty bad, man, Houston has had some hard games, whether it's Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland. They had to take on Tennessee. They had to take on Green Bay. And yeah, they lost all those games. But Deshaun Watson put up some serious numbers against those teams. So where does that put us? Going up against Houston, there are a lot of questions. Swift should be able to play this week. The concussion protocol, he should be able to clear it just fine. However, if he does not, we saw what AP and KERRYON were able to do, and that is nothing when it came to them splitting the reps. We need Swift back out there. So, first and foremost, will Swift be able to play? We'll look at that later as the week goes on. The answer is hopefully he should be. We will see. Will Galladay be able to play? He was able to practice one day last week, but then obviously was put back on the injury report. That was devastating. And without Amendola, there's no slot. So we really are in a bind coming into this week. I wish we sat Stafford. We didn't. But alas, here we are going up against Houston. Two bad teams playing on Thanksgiving Day. Last week, originally before Swift was taken out with his concussion, I was assuming that we would beat Carolina. Once we saw that Amendola, Swift, Galladay, none of them were in, I was having a conversation with a subscriber. I thought we would lose by 7 to Carolina. I did not expect to get shut out 20-0, which really freaks me out going into this game against Houston. We couldn't put anything on the board. So we will see what this week holds. At this point, I'm guessing we'll lose 24-17. That feels right. We will see what progresses with Swift, with Galladay, with Amendola. I assume Amendola will be out. Again, the hip injury is a tough one to come back from. I hope you enjoy your holiday with your family, with your friends, and we'll catch you next time on Let's Talk Lions.